I have to get into it. Right. I have to be physically and mentally prepared.
This episode is brought to you by Four Seasons Total Landscaping.
That was so pathetic, but so effective.
Greetings. Welcome to the SciFi Pubcast, the podcast that tries to be a pub and perhaps someday a pub that tries to be a podcast. As always, we are looking for customers to come visit a bar. So if you're passionate about something, except Trump, and want to be on a podcast, let us know, because this bar is all about community. We're not doing this for money. We don't have Patreon, and we don't sell advertising. Mostly because no one wants to buy advertising. But saying that, if you want to help us out, please consider leaving a 5-star review wherever you find this show, joining our Discord server, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Yes, we're done. At the top of the show, we got all that housekeeping stuff out there. My name is Joel. I'm the owner of the SciFi Pubcast, so to speak. And we have a full crew on today, folks. Yes, we have Carrie Simpson, Derek Beebe, and Dr. Randal Graham in the house. How you guys doing?
Hey. I'm doing good.
Yeah, and we're talking Star Trek Discovery, the first 4 episodes of Season 3. My God, it's a good day. I know
It is a good day.
It is a great day. Like, not having a political show right now, but I just feel relief. Plus, it's great weather in Ottawa right now. It's patio weather.
Yeah, it's a bit chilly in my apartment. I realize my idea of chilly and your guys' idea of chilly is way, way different. But
below 80?
Yeah, below 80 is well, actually below 70 is chilly for me.
Yeah.
Well, I've been particularly looking forward to today's show because of all the people involved in the podcast, I am the only one who didn't have a hand in saving America because I don't get to vote there, and yes, we all do. So on behalf of everyone else in the world who isn't allowed to vote in the United States, I appoint myself to say thank you to the 3 of you.
Oh, we tried.
Yes, I'm a registered Democrat, and I'm very proud of the results. So hopefully we've turned the corner. And hopefully America can be a force for good right now. So,
yeah.
There we go. Yeah. What else is happening? Carrie, how's your day been?
Oh, not bad. As you can see, we're talking Star Trek, and I wore the very appropriate shirt for this episode.
Nice.
That's okay. And I'm also doing a bit of research. I think I messaged you guys about this one. This came this morning. The Star Trek Cocktails, a Stellar Compendium. I flipped through it, and well, it should be. I mean, I knew my liquor cabinet was woefully understocked, but this just reminds me that I need more alcohol.
Yeah, and I've ordered the book too. It should arrive later today, or if not tomorrow. So yes. We should make cocktails together, Carrie. You're in California.
You should.
I'm in Ontario. Excuse me.
Sure.
Be good, yeah.
Oddly, there are several recipes in here that call for cherry liqueur, which I actually do have. I just don't have the other components.
I guess. Well, you should get on that. Okay. We also have Derek Beebe. Derek, how you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderfully. There was a very good item in the news yesterday, and today I got to start the new season of Ruby, which is a show I really love, and there hasn't been a new episode in 2 years for me. That's a machinima show done by Rooster Teeth. They're the people who did Red vs. Blue, which is the Halo machinima. Not a lot of people know about it, but it's a really cool show. It's kind of it's like an American-style anime epic.
Okay, cool.
With lots of amazing action, and it's funny, and it's got a cool story and characters and animation. It's good stuff.
Excellent. And before I forget, because we are a pub, of course. Yeah, so how is our kitchen doing, Derek?
Oh, dear.
It's doing good. I made Droog Beetle Pie, which was featured in season 3, episode 4 of Discovery. Now, I know you're going to think, oh, Derek, you made, actual beetles in a pie. And no, I did not do that. What I did was I went to Target after Halloween when the clearance sales were on, and I bought a bunch of those little plastic roach decoration things, and I fried those in batter, and I think they're pretty good. I mean, if you think about it, the plastic part of it is 0 calories, so it's actually pretty healthy.
I
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, they're crunchy. They'll chew up easily.
Yeah.
I'm really good. I have alcohol right now.
I mean, everything is good when you deep fry it.
I'm just gonna throw this to Randall and see how he reacts to Derek's kitchen, meal food thing. Okay.
I'm sorry. I can only apologize. I'm a bit confused and can't actually assess Derek's food because I'm broadcasting remotely today. I accidentally showed up at the SciFi Pubcast Total Landscaping. So I'm sorry about that, guys.
It happens. Of course, the voice you're hearing is Dr. Randal Graham, author of Before Life and Afterlife Crisis. Drink! Yes, we're still doing that. Randall, how you doing?
Pretty good. I am completely sleep deprived. Maybe not quite as much as John King, who announced yesterday that he had slept 6.5 hours over 4 days. I'm not quite that bad off, but I'm a news junkie, and I was so emotionally invested in this election that I didn't want to miss the official call, and I stayed up ludicrous hours over the course of the several days following the election. And thank you very much, Derek. And I am a sleepy man indeed, but I will do my best. And I'm going to say that episode 4 of Discovery season 3 didn't help me feel any less sleepy.
Oh God. We'll get there. We'll get there. Yes. Yeah. And this is the second Star Trek episode related recording we're doing, right? So our last one,
Lower Decks.
Yeah.
We never did Picard, I don't think.
Not yet.
No,
not yet.
Yeah. Picard.
On the docket.
And we have an in-house rule where if we talk about Star Trek as its own episode, we have to have Randall on because he's he's into it, and I know Carrie, you're into the whole Star Trek fandom as well.
Yeah.
Me, not
as
so much.
As
but,
you can see, I cross the fandom streams all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you may have noticed I am wearing a red t-shirt. It may look like orange in the video, but I can assure you it is red. So there's that.
It's the blue dress, green dress thing all over again.
So I don't know what era we're in. Are you expendable or are you command?
In my age, what do you think? Yes.
Well, since his shirt looks orange and red and yellow make orange, yes. The answer is yes.
Excellent.
Yes, it's indeed. Let's see. What's happening with me, Joel? Not much. I'm still in Ottawa. Beautiful weather. The last couple of weeks, I'm dating a new woman, so that's big news in my life. And I don't want to say her name, so I'm going to assign her a code name because she might be listening. So when I refer to,
you should call her Michael.
No. I'm going to call it code name Smiling Rose. Okay, so if you have any questions, we refer to this person as Smiling Rose. She's a very lovely woman. Okay. Right, moving on. Right, let's see. Star Trek Discovery Season 3, the first 4 episodes. We are talking spoilers. So if you haven't seen these episodes, please, listen to us if you want to be spoiled, but go check them out first. Because here at the SciFi Pubcast, we always look to the future, and we're keeping it light again this recording, mostly because I didn't want to do a political show just yet in case the U.S. election went the other way, but that's probably going to be our next episode. So we're looking at the first 4 episodes of Discovery. Specifically, the first episode was called That Hope Is You, Part 1. The second episode was Far From Home. The third episode was People of Earth, followed by the 4th episode, Forget Me Not. Yes, that's it. And, let me say it this way. The universe can be a lonely place. So let's talk about it. Folks, what's your general impressions of the beginning of Season 3 of Discovery?
I mean, I've loved this season so far. I don't know if it was just, the general state of the world 4 weeks ago, or what, but that first episode brought me to tears by the end.
No.
I was a mess. The rest of the rest of dealing with the trauma of everyone basically picking up all their lives and moving 1,000 years into the future. That is just that's enormous. I don't think we've ever seen a show deal with something like that so profoundly. I mean, I'm not the first one to make this comparison, but the only other show I can think of is Andromeda, but that was just one guy who got shuttled 900 years into the future.
I could think of
Voyager did it too.
Yeah. There's also Wayward Pines in a very different way. Yeah,
I never saw that.
Never saw that either.
Yeah, it kind of just went away. Yeah, first season was great. Second season was so-so. Yeah, interesting. Honestly, I like Star Trek. I'm more of the original guy, and I've been watching a lot of new Star Trek. By new, I mean like Voyager. I'm trying to watch Voyager for the first time. I'm halfway through the series. Yes, give me that right. Discovery.
You're fine.
Yeah, there's something about Star Trek, especially Discovery, because it really harps on the values of the Federation and being a Starfleet officer. And I think the last couple of episodes really hit that nail on its head. Probably too much on the nose, but there's that. Derek, what's your take, man? General impressions.
I thought the season premiere was excellent. It was incredibly cinematic. They did that gorgeous location shooting in Iceland, I believe it was. I thought it was a good decision to have the first episode just being Michael on her own and introducing Book, who I think is a really interesting character, and the actor portraying him was really good as well. He was very charismatic and interesting. Grudge the Cat was awesome. I really enjoyed the premiere. It looked amazing. The new not post-apocalyptic, but the post-Federation world was very interesting. There were some really cool little references, like talking about how time travel was destroyed after the Temporal Wars, which was from Enterprise, and one of the bad guys was a Lurian, like Morn from Deep Space Nine. So those little things made me giggle. And,
plus more Andorians and Orions.
Yeah, it was also interesting that Andorians and Orions are basically like the ruling power now. And the ending at the end when she meets the lone Federation official who's just been waiting forever for someone to show up, that was really touching as well. That reminded me strongly of the opening scene of the new Battlestar Galactica. That also had an old guy always showing up for a post, waiting for something that happened and never did, and then it finally did. Only for him, he got killed. So our Federation fellow had a better ending. But yeah, very solid premiere. Very good.
Okay, now, you guys ready for this? Randall, what's your take so far, the first 4 episodes of Season 3?
It's mixed. I have to start by saying I quite love Discovery. I think it's a great series. I think it has fantastic actors. I've really enjoyed some of the plot bits. I mean, there have been bits that I've been a little bit hot and cold on, but for the most part, I'm a big fan, big supporter of the series. And episode 1 of season 4, that was some of the best TV I've seen in ages.
Season 3, you mean?
Season 3, yeah, no, season.
They just started filming season 4. So unless you know something we don't, Randall.
I jumped through a wormhole and got trapped. And no, season 1 of season 3, episode 1. I loved it, and I couldn't believe how good it was. And it was good for reasons that make me feel disloyal, because it was the most Star Wars episode of Star Trek that I've seen in a long time. It was sort of focused on individual effort rather than collective effort. It was, a few people against powerful odds instead of, this whole group Federation. But I thought it was done fabulously well. And like Derek, I was really moved by the Aditya Sahil character, who was like the lone man of the Federation out there at the outpost monitoring for Federation activity. I found that incredibly moving. So like that episode, 11 out of 10, if that's a thing. I just absolutely loved it. Also liked Far From Home a great deal. The second episode, I thought that was fantastic. Again, appropriate action, appropriate focus on the trauma that they were going through, being stuck out of time. I absolutely love Philippa Giorgio in that episode. I thought she was fantastic.
Michelle Yeoh is just fantastic.
Michelle Yeoh is amazing in everything. Absolutely,
Yeah.
I agree with you. And then People of Earth, I had a lot of hope invested in People of Earth because I love Jonathan Frakes as a director, and was really looking forward to seeing him direct. And I liked the episode fine, but when you look at 3 and 4 together, I remember saying to my wife, I watch these episodes on the treadmill generally, my first time through. And for all of seasons 1 and 2, the episode would zoom by and I'd be like, oh my God, my run is over. I can't believe it. Like it just, the time flew because I'm so distracted by this amazing series that I'm watching. In Forget Me Not in particular, I'm like, oh my God, I'm only 6 minutes into my run. I feel like I've already run 12 miles. I found it quite slow, and but slow in a particular way. And I think this is what Joel was getting at as well. It felt like the show was going a little bit up its own ass in the sense of just going too far into the slow, character-driven mutual appreciation society. Like, I appreciate you so much, Saru. Oh, I appreciate you so much, Michael. Oh, who can we appreciate next? Let's appreciate Book. And it just, like, there's an awful lot of lengthy speeches about how important they all are to each other. And I think conveying that through action is better for me, anyway, it's just my own taste, than the lengthy inspirational speech. I loved when they sort of made fun of Burnham's propensity for long inspirational speeches. Don't say anything inspirational, that bugs me. I thought that was great. But like when I think about other depictions of trauma and how they've reacted to it in Star Trek, when Picard came back from having been Locutus and had the whole episode with his brother on the farm, and he was dealing with his sort of PTSD, I thought that was brilliantly done. It was sort of like not a lot of long speeches about it, and it was just watching this man's recovery. And apples and oranges, I guess, but I'm just finding the speechifying appreciation, sharing of love, and Starfleet values got a little tired. I felt like 3 and 4 had too much of that one right after the other, and I felt like those 2 episodes could have been done in about 40 minutes.
See, I kind of looked at episode 4 specifically, but somewhat in episode 3, is a bit of, the show taking some time to catch its breath, because I mean, you had Burnham get to the wormhole. She spent that entire episode trying to figure out A, where she was, B, when she was, and C, if Discovery got through the wormhole. The second episode you deal with Discovery, getting to the point where Burnham is, except a year later. But they immediately crash on the planet. They have to get off the planet before they can, address all the shit that they just went through. Mm-hmm. And then they get the ship repaired enough that they can get to Earth. They get to Earth. Earth is completely like, no, do not approach us. We have yellow cones up all over the place. Go away. We have locked all the doors, and fly. Go, just be somewhere other than here. So episode 4 is kind of like, the end of episode 3 and most of episode 4 is just like them, finally getting their bearings and going, okay, we just went through all of this shit. We all know that we are all traumatized. Let's try to take a minute, figure out what's going on, and deal with the fact that we are a crew out of time now.
Yeah,
we don't even know anything about what happened.
Yeah, my take is that the first episode of season 3 was amazing. I'm with you guys. I thought it was a very strong episode. The fact that Michael is basically by herself, meets a new fellow, Book, kind of like the Star Trek Han Solo, in my opinion. You know, a bit rough around the edges, but has a good heart. He'll come on side eventually after he betrays you once or twice. And then you get into episode 3 and episode 4, and the pacing is just so radically different. And I think, I'm with Ren on this one. It's like, I like characterization, but it went down that wormhole and hasn't gotten out again. So I'm excited for episode 5 to see if they are still going to drill on characterization, or is the plot going to be advanced in an exciting and interesting way.
Yeah, well, in its defense, I would say that not every show can be a roller coaster. Sometimes you are going to have the quieter character pieces. That certainly happened in seasons 1 and 2. There were definitely episodes where I thought it was going a little too slow for my taste. And I'm sure, it'll pick up soon. As for Far From Home, I liked it a lot. I didn't like it quite as much as the first one. I did think the Mysterio reveal was very cool, though. I mean, we all knew he was going to be the villain, but revealing that he was actually working with an entire team of Tony Stark's ex-employees, I thought that was really cool. What? Why are you shaking your head at me?
No. We're talking Star Trek Discovery, dude. Star Trek.
Well, you said Far From Home. I thought episode 2 was very solid. Not quite as solid as episode 1. I was a little surprised that that it was already getting back to the crew, because at the end of episode 1, I was thinking, are we going to go multiple episodes with just Michael and Book?
Yeah. And
then it immediately started with the Discovery crew. And then I started thinking, well, are we going to go multiple episodes where one episode is Michael, one is Disco, and maybe they don't reunite until the mid-season? And that might have been interesting as long as they didn't drag it out too long. And I was surprised that Michael showed up at the end of episode 2 and they were all back together again that quickly. That felt a little pat and quick. And especially when we learned that she had adventures with Book for an entire year. And I'm hoping that we see that in flashbacks, because I was very frustrated to learn that we missed out on an entire year of Michael and Book adventures, and she's a completely different person now, and we don't know what happened between them or how she changed and why. I didn't think about it.
Group of short treks. Those will be another grouping of short treks.
Yeah, but I think it's more important that it should be on the show proper, though. I mean, she is our star character far more than anyone else. And so I'm hoping in the future that we do get Michael and Book flashbacks. And once again, episode 2 had some lovely location shooting. I'm assuming it was still Iceland, but it was supposed to be a different planet. Yeah. So yeah, those 2 first episodes looked absolutely amazing, and they were very interesting. And the third one, I liked the fact that even in post-collapse society, even though Earth had become isolationist and they had their military up to defend the planet, they hadn't become an evil dictatorship, and they were willing to listen to reason. That was refreshing, because the obvious route to take in that story would be like, oh, Earth is evil now, and they have to, teach them their ways. So I was glad that we didn't have to do that. That was good. And I thought that Adira was a very interesting mystery character at first. I actually did not know who she really was or what was going on with her, so I thought she was just like some strange random new person. I didn't remember if I'd read any spoilers about her. So at the end, when she revealed that she was the Trill Admiral, I was shocked. I did not see that coming at all.
Well, I knew there was going to be a Trill character. I didn't know it was going to be Adira. And as they said, there hasn't been a successful human Trill symbiosis, and I do stress successful because Riker did host a Trill for like 48 hours.
Shouldn't she have like a huge distended stomach if this massive slug is inside her where she normally doesn't have room for it?
Did Terry Farrell or...
Yeah, but the Trill species has that natural space because they evolved in a symbiotic relationship with the symbiotes. So they have a hole in their body for it already.
Yeah, but I think the symbiote basically just found space. I mean, there is a lot of empty space in the human, chest cavity.
Maybe it's constantly compacting her lungs and she can barely breathe all the time.
I don't think so.
Wow.
They said something in episode 4 about it being wrapped around her heart. So
Yeah.
Yeah, she said it. Yeah, she said it's protecting my heart. Very symbolic.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't want to be too hard on episode 4. There were aspects of it that I liked. It was just the dialogue writing, like the long speeches, that really slowed things down for me. And somewhat in episode 3 to a lesser extent. I'm happy I'm watching Star Trek. I like it better than most other shows that I watch. I think that part of it, though, it was like being at the whole series so far, season rather, so far, was like being at a rock concert and then suddenly someone's playing a really slow love ballad. And, it was a lovely story. I liked, on sort of a narrative level, what happened with Adira and Gray. I think it's a neat piece to have in the show.
It's a neat twist, too.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting plot point. I liked the characters. I liked their relationship. I thought there was enough payoff for the relationship. I loved the part that Dr. Hugh Culber played in episode 4. I thought he did a great job, looking out for the emotional needs of the crew. I love Wilson Cruz.
Wilson Cruz is amazing in this entire series.
Yeah, I met him on the ship, and he's fantastic on the Star Trek cruise. Wonderful guy, hilarious, and I love his character. But again, it same as Joel. It was the pacing for me, where it's just I get having a lull, but it felt like a really deep lull. It almost felt like we're going to have an episode we're going to watch him napping, and maybe that'd be okay. I would have loved an episode of DS9 that was just Calm Meany having a nap because everything bad happened to him all the time.
I really want to see them run into that statue from Lower Decks. I don't think they will, though.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a meme someone put out there when they had the scene from People of Earth where Tilly and the others are all running and they have this big grin on their face as they're running toward the big tree. But they switched it so they were actually running toward the O'Brien statue.
I think I saw that. Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say, thumbs down for the episode. But when you've had a couple of episodes that are like I would give 11 out of 10, and suddenly you're looking at a 6.5 or a 7, to me it was such a sudden drop that it just it felt a bit discordant. Disco.
Now, with me, I thought episode 1 and episode 2 complemented each other, right? So you have the two different point of views from the characters. In the first one, you have Michael's point of view, and the second one you have the ship's point of view, the crew of the ship, right? So that was good. Then in season 3, it's different. Episode 3, I'm sorry, it's different. They went to Earth. Episode 4, they went to Trill. It's like it's jarring structurally, and that's something I thought not so good, but. We saw more character-driven. I think Saru coming into his own as the captain is important, as the leader.
Agreed.
That's a very important character development, especially when we consider where Saru came from in season 1 and 2.
Well, and you saw that going back to season 1, that one episode where he got left in charge of the ship, and he was, trying to get the computer to help him out with, give me references for good captains. Now, I took issue with that in that they didn't reference Captain Shran, but otherwise, Saru knows what he doesn't know, and he knows where to find that knowledge. And I like that the ship is now trying to take care of the crew as well.
That's an interesting point. Go ahead, Randall.
Oh, so I was gonna say, I have a complicated fandom of Saru. I love Doug Jones. I think he's a fantastic actor in everything he does. He's just brilliant. And I do, like, if I just met Saru now, watching season 3, I think, oh, wow, what a cool character. Love him. But what I really miss, for me, the biggest depiction of bravery you can have is someone who is terrified but is going ahead anyway. Right. And I loved that about Saru before he lost his sort of Kelpian innate fear. That you know he's terrified. He grew up as a prey species. His whole species has evolved as a prey species, and they're highly sensitive to fear, and he's afraid of everything. But he faces that fear and goes on. And now he's sort of this fearless dude. And I still like the character a lot, but I really missed that aspect of him. I thought that was so clever when they came up with that aspect of the character, the species that was a prey species on essentially a two species world. I thought that was really cool, and I just kind of miss it.
But he still knows what it's like to be constantly afraid, so he does still carry that, and he does use that knowledge to help the rest of the crew, especially someone like Tilly, who, let's face it, she has not been okay for the last 3 episodes, and is less adept at hiding that she's not okay than say someone like Detmer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just now he's sort of in an unvarnished way. He's just completely awesome. He's sort of like another Data or Spock character who's just got superpowers, right?
Uh-huh.
Like because now I'm not afraid of anything, and I can shoot spikes out of my face.
I kind of missed back when he was a vicious prick to Michael all the time. I enjoyed that relationship.
I like that too. Yeah, I do love their interplay though. I think they're such great characters. Michael, a lot of people don't like Michael. I love Michael. I think Michael's fantastic.
I do too. She's awesome.
Yeah,
but I do like Tilly's comments about how Michael is lighter this episode and not having to go and save the world, not burdened with having to go and save the universe all the bloody time now.
Yeah, and going back to Saru for a second, what's going to happen to his character? Like, is he going to get a girlfriend? Is that the next little plot development on his character, right? Because no fear, he's captain now, so he's just going to be a plot device, right? Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. Derek, you're the writer. What do you think? Go ahead.
The other thing about Michael that I didn't notice right away is that in the first 2 seasons she was basically like an emotionless Vulcan, and now in season 3 she's fun and light and has a sense of humor because of her year with Book. And I didn't even notice that right away, but it's a very noticeable difference. I kind of miss the old Vulcan-ish Michael.
Yeah. Right, and let me ask you guys this. Do you know the TV series that was on, I think, AMC from 2011 to 2015? Hell's on Wheels? Or 2016?
Hell on Wheels?
Yeah.
No.
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Okay, so Ensign Mount is the main character on that. It's Western, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And it talks about, of course, basically building the first railroad across the United States. It's an amazing series. It's a really good Western/Industrial Revolution series. And it incorporates a lot of things that actually did happen. So it's loosely based on truth. But we have Ensign Mount, who of course played Captain Pike. He was, on the show for most of season 2. We have, Cole Minnie, Chief O'Brien. He's a big Star Trek guy, right? He was on the show Hell on Wheels. Now, we have episode 3 of season 3 of Discovery. At the very end of the episode, the fellow who was the raider that Bennett who was captured.
Christopher Hardell. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. He played the Swede, which was a villain on Hell on Wheels.
Well, he's also been in Star Trek Atlantis and Sanctuary, a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. I just know him as the Swede because the Swede was such a powerful character on Hell on Wheels. It's like, oh my God, it's the Swede.
When I got the show notes and I saw the words "the Swede," I thought, "What the hell did I miss?"
Yeah, me too. I was like, "What is the Swede?" Is that something on the show I forgot about?
Yeah, I should put. I've been preoccupied and busy.
When I saw it, I was thinking. I don't know if you remember the Clint Eastwood movie Heartbreak Ridge.
Right. Yes.
Where and there's a character in there called the Swede, right? They're waiting for him to get out of the break because he's going to come and beat the crap out of their new hard as nails drill instructor, who is Clint Eastwood, and then Clint Eastwood just beats the crap out of him when he shows up. And I'm thinking the Swede, like that's the one cinematic Swede who was called the Swede that I could think of, and boy, was I wrong.
Hey, I just found out yesterday there's actually a TV show on Netflix called The Swedish Dicks. Who knew?
Okay.
Yeah. It's a detective comedy thing. Get your mind.
Okay.
I hope so.
Yeah, okay. Things
Otherwise, that could be really awkward, Joel.
I know. I've used that joke before. Okay.
One thing I would like to say in defense of episode 4, since everyone's dumping on it, is
I'm
that
not dumping on it. I liked episode 4.
the entire thing was a massive callback to Deep Space Nine and all those episodes about the Trills and like the pools on the Trill homeworld. So for that alone, it gets a pass from me. When I saw that they actually reproduced those stupid-looking cave pools from Deep Space Nine, I was like, "Oh my God, it's the Trill pools!"
I really appreciated that they I mean this is Star Trek. They know enough about Star Trek history to have consistency where it is warranted, and still, we have no idea we really have no idea what happened between whatever ends up being the end of Picard and where the crew of Discovery ends up now. I mean, we know the burn happened like somewhere like 150 years ago ish.
Yeah.
But we still don't know what it is.
Yeah, and are we going to see a new energy source for warp drives? Or
Book referenced something about a slipstream, which is very Andromeda-esque. So maybe they're using some kind of transwarp technology now. Except they can't.
Thing in Voyager in the episode that turned them into salamanders, or was that something else?
No,
that's going back past warp 10.
Yeah, that's when we go past warp 10, which never ever happens on Star Trek except like twice in the original series, and yet, getting a ship to go past warp 10 on Voyager turns Janeway and Paris into salamanders.
I hate when that happens.
Which the salamanders that show up on lower decks. So I mean,
I love that Paris and Janeway mated. That's just one of those.
Yeah, they
things
don't talk. They don't talk about that.
So was that a haiku? Okay, I don't know. For the rest of the show, we'll be talking in haikus. Okay.
Nice.
It was a huge missed opportunity from going to the Trill homeworld. They could have had the Dax symbiote as one of the characters, because you don't need to bring back the actress. You could have some random new actor as the new Dax.
I thought about that, but also they had said that a lot of the Trill had been lost. So there are basically more symbiotes now than there are hosts to carry them. So the Dax symbiote could be dead. I hope not.
Dax is the only Trill that we actually know and care about. So if they save anyone, they got to save her.
I understand that, and for a while I thought that if they were going to have a Trill character, I thought it might be Dax, but then I realized that would have been too easy. And I had kind of hoped that Dax would have been one of the Trill that they met on Trill, but I have this really bad feeling that either the Dax symbiote is dead. Please, I hope not. Or it might be in one of the pools, or it might be stranded somewhere like Tal was.
Interesting.
But having, if they could run across Dax, that might be a good way to, find out what the hell has happened over the last, 900 years, because I mean, who knows how? I don't even know how if symbiotes live that long.
Dax had 8
9
hosts in Deep Space Nine, so that's about 800 years.
Yeah.
By the way, fun piece of trivia: the season 3 episode 4 was J.K. Rowling's all-time favorite episode of Star Trek.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh
God. Well, this is a good point. So we saw trans and non-binary characters in Star Trek, And quite finally, great, right? When I watched the episode, I didn't clue in. I just accepted it's Star Trek. And then I read a Vanity Fair article. Oh, this is a big deal, right? And it is a big deal. It's good to see.
Yeah.
Well,
I like how they did it such that it wasn't about that.
Yeah.
It was just there, and how like life, where it's this is a person, and this is that person being that person. Not everything in that person's life is about being non-binary or being having a particular sexual identity or gender identity. It's not. They have lots of other stuff going on, and when they show up in a very special episode, it's not going to be just about that aspect of their life. It can be about all kinds of other things, and we just accept them as, this is just another cool character.
But that's the thing that Star Trek has been really good about, and that goes back all the way to TOS, where you had Uhura and Sulu and eventually Chekhov on the bridge, and nothing was really said that there was a black woman, an Asian man, and a Russian on the bridge. They were just there. They were just doing their jobs. It was treated by the crew as being completely normal that they would be there. Mm-hmm. And I know from stuff I've heard on other in other documentaries and other podcasts that Gene had agreed with people that having LGBTQ representation on Star Trek was long overdue, but there was only so much he was able to get past, network executives, even into the 80s and 90s. And, he did what he could, but it obviously wasn't enough, but he knew that was someplace that Trek needed to go eventually.
Another interesting piece of trivia, the season 3 premiere did not have any white actors visible in the entire episode. I think some of them were behind green and blue makeup, but there were no
that is also
white-faced people in the premiere.
That's interesting. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's a great thing. Yeah, I didn't even notice until afterwards. Yeah.
A quick callback to something we were talking about a few minutes ago. I'm just looking at Memory Alpha online, and it says Trill symbionts can live up to about 550 years old. Dax was 357.
That's it.
So the Dax symbiote may not be around anymore.
Because I just remembered Terry Farrell, as Jadzia Dax, when someone asked her age, she said, "I stopped counting at 300."
Well, to be fair, a lot of hers got killed prematurely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. And I wasn't sure. So we know that they can modify canon, modify things, and we don't know for sure that Trill can live that long or can't live that long. But I also sort of had Carrie's thought, where as soon as they introduced that there was a Trill there and we're going to Trill, and I thought it might be just a little bit too pat if we bump into Dax, right? It'd be like having everybody in the series be a descendant of somebody else. Like, oh look, it's Ben Sisko's great grandson, suddenly shows up. But still, I have also Derek's affection for the Dax symbiont, and I kind of wanted to see that. But so I was a bit torn. I would have been happy either way, I'm sure. But
I mean, if she had been alive, she should have been in charge of the whole planet, out of respect.
Well, and I found it fascinating that we're going from an era, at least we're going from an era with Discovery where they knew about the Trill, but they didn't know about the Trill. About symbionts, and that is not something that's really discussed in the shows, more as it's something that they mention in several of the books. As I know, McCoy had a thing with Emily Dax in Lives of Dax, and
right.
And the last John Jackson Miller's new Trek book, they team Georgiou, Emperor Georgiou, with Emily Dax as well, and Emily eventually has to admit that there's a slug inside me, and that's not something that the Pike era Federation knew about, and now we've jumped 900,000 years in the future, and we've passed the DS9 era where everyone knows about the symbiont, and now we have to get this particular Trill back to Trill to figure out why the memories aren't there.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I have to briefly turn our focus to a thing that I both love and hate about this season, and that is Grudge.
Oh, yes, Grudge.
Aww.
I think Grudge is fantastic. I'm
is
pro
so
Grudge.
awesome.
We need more Grudge.
No, but I need to explain my position, because I love Grudge. But if anything happens to that cat, I can never watch the show again. Right. Because the last time I saw Doug Jones in anything on film with a cat, he ate it. And that was in The Shape of Water.
Oh, right.
I can't deal with animals coming to harm in shows. Like, there's a website called Does the Dog Die? And you can go to that website and see if anything bad happens to an animal in a movie. Because a lot of people feel as I do. And, I can watch people explode all day in cinema. But if the second something bad happens to, like, a domestic pet, I'm just a wreck. And so I love the fact that Grudge is there. But I, need a guarantee that nothing bad is ever going to happen to Grudge, or I'll be so sad.
So Randall is never watching John Wick.
No, I can't. I knew the premise, and so I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch
But
The
that
West
is the
Wing.
But that is the entire reason John Wick goes off on his killing spree, is because they killed his dog.
Yeah, I think if you
I
skip
know.
the first 15 or 20 minutes, you'll be fine for the rest of the series.
Well, the same thing like The West Wing. Not The West Wing. House of Cards. In the first episode, a dog gets killed. In the first 5 minutes, I'm like, well, that's it. I can't watch that show.
Oh, wow. How about the cat from Captain Marvel? That would be
Well,
another
that cat can take care of itself. But if it occurs to me, though, that if we establish Book as the Star Trek Han Solo, then Chewbacca has to be Grudge.
Yes. I think that's the joke right there. And it's amazing. And they filmed that in Toronto, so it's probably a Canadian cat, I'm guessing.
It's a Maine Coon.
Yeah.
Lovely.
There you go. Who knew? Where do you think this season is going to go?
Well, I hope Book comes back as soon as possible, because when he left at the end of episode 3, I was like, what? I thought he was joining the crew. So he better be back soon. I want him as a regular.
I agree.
And also, we haven't seen the Federation communications guy since the season premiere either. I want to see more of him as well.
You notice we haven't seen any Klingons this season?
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
We haven't seen any Romulans either.
And I've been wondering about that because, Mary Chieffo has been such an important part of the series that I wonder if there's a way to bring some of those characters back, like Ken Mitchell, Mary Chieffo were both so important to the first seasons. And I thought, how are we going to have them in? Because now we're like 900 years in the future. And they could do that spot-on Pat Answer thing that Carrie and I were worried about. And, turns out we have Laurel's great-great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter is now in charge of the Empire.
We now have holodeck technology, so maybe there's holo recordings of Laurel somewhere.
I just hope that the burn wasn't caused by some sort of evil AI out to destroy the universe, because Picard is about that. Season 2 of Discovery was about that. Enough with AI is going to kill us all. And I wouldn't mind. Maybe the burn was caused by Klingons. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or something
I'm leaning
else.
towards natural disaster.
Yeah.
And that nobody was behind it.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I've been thinking about this. It would be kind of like if for some reason, the Earth's entire oil supply just spontaneously combusted.
Well, and the interesting thing is that essentially requires information or whatever it is to travel around the entire known universe all in one go for every bit of dilithium everywhere to explode in an active warp engine. So I wondered if the mycelial network was involved in some way.
Ooh,
That's possible.
I'm gonna blame Q or someone in the collective, the Q collective, right?
If it was an entity behind it, they would have to have near cosmic powers to affect
phenomenal cosmic powers.
Now, one thing I did notice that was interesting, in the very beginning of the season premiere, Book tells Michael that the Gorn did something that blew up subspace for 2 sectors. So I
Yeah.
wonder if that was foreshadowing, explaining how the burn happened. Like, that the Gorn somehow stumbled across the same mechanism that was used for the burn.
I just kind of assumed that the Gord came across the aliens from schisms and decided to go nuclear on their asses, and that destroyed like
Oh, interesting.
subspace for like however much of the galaxy it destroyed.
Interesting.
I don't remember that episode, so your reference is failing me.
Oh, that's the ones where the crew is falling asleep and seeing aliens in their nightmares, and they have the scissory hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the one where Troy is the cake?
No.
No.
Okay,
That's a different one.
That's the one. That's the one where Riker's arm gets severed and then reattached, and the only thing that the only evidence they have is like a hairline scar that Crusher picks up on a scan.
That's creepy.
It is creepy.
Very.
It was a creepy episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of where the season is going, I imagine we're gonna find out how the burn happened, what caused it.
Mm-hmm.
The obvious end goal would be for them to reform the Federation. I don't know though, because Disco so far has been a very season by season storyline. Like each season is its own very coherent element with a beginning and an end. And if they follow that pattern, I would think that at the end of season 3, they're either going to reform the Federation or travel back in time to their original timeline.
Yeah, I think it's they're going to go back in time because that's how you're going to avoid being lonely in space, right? Okay, that you have to have connections, right? Okay, friends, family, your old bar.
If they
right?
stayed in the future till the end of the show, that would be a very bold, interesting choice.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So if you guys have all seen all the short treks, right?
I have.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, we are going to end up with Calypso, where Discovery is basically left alone on its own without the crew. So maybe the crew travels back to their original time, but ends up having to leave the ship behind because the entire reason they traveled so far into the future was to get the ship away from control.
Yes, absolutely.
So if they travel back to their original timeline, they're gonna have to leave the ship there. But then they might have to rename the show or commission another Discovery. So
they called the new ship the Defiant as well, so
that's true.
They'll just rename it.
Yeah, I think they called the refit of the they called the new Enterprise as well. So
yeah. Oh, speaking of control, when they first showed what's the name of the pilot? Detmer.
Yeah.
Detmer.
Okay.
Detmer.
When they first showed Detmer in the future and she was kind of like acting all weird and spaced out, my immediate theory was that Control had like gotten into her cyber unit and that it was like lying in wait, and that explains why she's been acting so weird all season. Does anybody agree with that?
I had thought about that, but after listening to a couple episodes of Mission Log Live, where other people had thought about the same thing, and the fact that they were pretty much done with the Control storyline, I agree that was probably not the case.
So it was just post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Yes, she was, thrown. She was thrown a couple of times across her control station. As soon as they got through that wormhole. So that plus, just. Do you ever know those? If you ever run across those people who they can deal with they appear that they can deal with so much shit, and they seem to be completely fine, and then at some point the straw that breaks the camel's back is just like suddenly they're like, okay, no, I'm not fine, and I'm going to name it. That's pretty much where I see Detmer as being. It's like, I don't talk about this that much, but Detmer, in a way, kind of calls me back to when my teacher was dealing with her daughter's illness 2 years ago, and whenever she was in the dojo, she was fine, and she's just now starting to deal with the trauma that she went through over the last 2 years, and she's not always fine. Now she's recognizing that now. Detmer's kind of in the same spot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring.
No, this is good.
That's okay.
This is post-traumatic stress stuff, and trust me, I can't live it. So that's why I'm trying to be silent on it, because I'm still sorting things out of my own head.
Now, hearkening back to what might have caused the burn, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be sort of interested if they wanted it to be sort of a callback to something already established in Star Trek canon that we can relate to. Think, this thing that was set out there, now that has caused the burn. And so I was trying to look through the filing cabinets in my brain to try to find what that might be. The first thing I thought about was the Omega particle, the Omega molecule, rather, from Star Trek Voyager. But that destroys subspace and makes warp travel impossible.
Okay.
But that doesn't seem to fit. But I'm sort of dragging through my brain for stuff like that. Like, what could it be that we already know about? So the mycelial network, that's from Discovery. But I'm thinking about from other series.
There was also that one episode where they established that they couldn't go beyond warp 5 because there was a section of space that was tearing a hole into subspace and stuff like that.
That's right.
And then of course
they dropped that rule so fast.
And they dropped that rule as soon as the Dominion work happened.
Yeah, so thinking about things like Joel brought up Q, that would be a thing that could have done it.
I would love to see John Delancey show up as Q and just fuck with the crew for a while.
Bring back the god entity from Final Frontier.
Oh god.
Yes.
I'm all for the trickster, right? There's going to be a trickster doing this stuff, right? And just no sense of morality. Okay.
Maybe Q's the one who sends them all back to to their original time. Maybe he takes pity on them. Yeah. Nah.
I really can't see Discovery ever doing something as silly as Q.
Really?
Me?
Yeah, I don't know. They seem to be too concerned with being grim and gritty and.
Nah.
Maybe
you had the time loop episode from season 1. That was pretty fun.
That was crazy. Yeah.
And
Harry
crazy.
Mudd. Yeah, maybe Harry Mudd causes the burn.
So Harry Mudd traveled 800 years into the future, caused the burn, and just out of pure revenge.
That's
right. I'm sure it was an accident.
Yeah, probably.
Sure. Of course it was.
Or future AI Picard destroys the world with the burn.
Or the whatever it was that the Romulans were afraid of.
Yeah, the mysterious artificial intelligence living beyond the rim.
Oh,
yeah,
Omnipotent Wesley.
That was something that
Wesley and the Traveler. Sorry.
Speaking of which, that was something I had thought of as far as what was going on with Detmer, is that maybe we've gotten so far. I mean, because we've passed an era where cybernetic modifications were outlawed. I thought maybe there was something environmental that might be, screwing with her implants.
That's interesting.
But I kind of dismissed that. That would be weird.
Maybe it's the Borg.
All right. Any last thoughts on Discovery? Because we should close our doors soon of this bar, so to speak.
We must be patient. As I recall, I thought the beginning of season 2 was running very slowly. Spock didn't show up until episode 7 or 8, I think.
That is true.
And I remember the first 5 or 6 episodes of Disco season 2. I was like, okay, this is fun, but can we get the story started, please? Because they weren't even fighting people; they were doing scientific, crises and stuff. So, sometimes it takes a while to get going. We just gotta be patient.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, season 1 of TNG wasn't exactly perfect.
Yeah.
Or season 2, for that matter.
Yeah.
Although season 2 did have Pulaski, and I do miss Pulaski.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Pulaski caused the burn.
That could be it. Yeah.
Oh.
Or Beverly Crusher's Space Ghost boyfriend.
That'll teach us to write Daniel Muldaur out of
Sub Rosa, subspace, makes sense.
Yeah.
I get it.
Sure.
Right. Okay. How about you, Carrie? Last thoughts?
I am really excited about the show so far. I can't wait to see where we go for the rest of the season. And Odette Ferrer is gonna be in the next episode. So
oh yeah, I saw that.
Nice. Randall, your last thoughts, sir.
Don't hurt Grudge.
Yes, do not.
Someone threatened him in episode 1 already, or one or 2, I forget.
Yeah.
Threatened to kill the cat.
Yeah,
and I'm like, don't even say that.
Do not hurt Grudge.
No.
That's great. My last thoughts is that I hope there's going to be more humor in season 3. Right now, we've gotten very little humor. Besides maybe the whole Buster Keaton thing at the very end of episode 4.
There's Michael's truth serum in episode 1,
which is really good.
That drug trip was epic.
Yeah, and really well acted. I love that.
I would really, and I do want to see Tilly on that stuff.
Can we just now that Joel just said that? Can we acknowledge for a second what an amazing actor she is?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that. Like, the acting in this series, I have to say, like, even when they're giving speeches that I think are a little bit overwrought, the actors are so good.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, 1 second. I got to. Someone's knocking my door. Give me a second.
So I have a dumb question. The white blonde woman on the bridge crew, is that the same actress who played the cyborg lady who died in season 2?
It is, yeah.
Okay, but she's playing a different character, right?
She is.
Like, it has nothing to do with that person.
Yeah, she played the cyborg, I think, in season 1, and then someone else played her in season 2, and then that character came along. Yeah.
I didn't know they switched actresses.
But yeah, she was the cyborg character, and now
she was Arian, right?
Yeah, Arian. Yeah, she played Arian, and now she's herself.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'm glad they kept her around and gave her a paycheck.
Yeah, me too.
It's like they did with Ken Mitchell, right? They just made him a different Klingon from the same line. Maybe they'll do that with Mary Chieffo. Bring the Klingons in, because the Klingons have been so important to this series. But bring the Klingons back and have, they wear prosthetics anyway, so make them look different, be different characters.
I would love to see them bring back J.G. Hertzler, or what's his name who plays Galron. Just bring them back in some capacity.
Joel has something to show us.
Yes. So this is what happens when you run a restaurant, okay? People knock on your door when you're recording. They leave packages for you. And look, it's the Star Trek Cocktails, a Stella Compendium. Yes. I own a copy of it. Yay! Look at that.
By the way, that QR code gives you the recipe for the Romulan whiskey that I think I sent to you and Randall.
Oh yeah.
Off of the card from the press kit.
Oh, very cool.
That's good. I just opened it up. Go ahead. I just opened up this, and there's a drink called Chekhov's Uncle Venya. That's great.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the Warp Core breach is in here too.
That's nice. Most excellent.
I had another thought about things that might have caused the burn, and I don't know how, but I would love it if it were a callback and if it were somehow the Dominion.
Yeah, the Founders coming back for revenge.
Or like the 8,000th clone of Wayun.
Yes, let's
bring back Jeffrey Combs.
Let's get Jeffrey Combs. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, because the Founders were allegedly peaceful at the end of the war, thanks to Odo, doesn't mean that 900 years from now they didn't have a revert to fascism. That happens sometimes.
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
Like remembering the attempted genocide that the Federation unleashed against them
through
biological warfare.
And also the Tal Shiar and the Obsidian Order as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Too good, too good. Well, let's wrap it up, folks. We went long. We're over an hour right now, which is great because we're talking about Star Trek. Yes. Yay! So this show is released as a podcast and on YouTube. Subscribe today. Check out our Discord server. It's a great source of news and discussion. You can find a Discord invite on our social media. Speaking of which, our social media, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Yes, I do the Twitter and Instagram, and Derek, our own Derek, does the Facebook page. Derek, you're doing a great job, man.
Thanks. There's not a lot of news to post in the corona crisis. But...
You can email us at management@scifipubcast.space. Carrie, what is your Twitter handle, please?
My Twitter handle is Carrie Blackfire42. That's Keri Blackfire42.
And what other podcasts do you do?
Oh, yeah. I am on DC Talk, which is a DC Comics television and movie news and discussion show. And I'm also on the Cape Chronicles, we're going through all superhero movies ever and discussing them in release order. I think next weekend we're talking about Under the Red Hood, which is an amazing movie.
Nice. And these shows can be found on the Random Chatter Network.
Random Chatter Network, yes.
Cool. Derek, what's your Twitter address?
I am at Derek J. Beebe.
And Randall, what's your Twitter address?
At Randal_Graham.
Yes, and Randall is a novelist. He has 2 published works out there. We have Before Life and we have Afterlife Crisis. And he does the circuit, the interview circuit. And buy his books. It's funny. It's like weird fiction type stuff. I enjoy it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Douglas Adams meets... the Supreme Court of Canada. It's all good stuff. Okay.
And I found out the other day that I'm, again, for the second book, officially nominated for the Leacock Medal for Humor.
Oh, excellent.
Wow.
That's outstanding.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. And my name is Joel. My Twitter address is at Joel_Welch. It's closing time, folks. Please take care and make it home safely. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
Live long and prosper.
Bye, everybody.
Music provided courtesy of Logan Rathbone. Podcast logo by Jea Rhea. Copyrighted Joe Welch. Listen responsibly, and we can't wait for your next visit to our fine establishment. Cheers.